Step out of the car, ma'am. Now! Maya William froze with both hands on the steering wheel. The red and blue lights from 2 patrol cars flashed across her windshield, across her face, across the curve of her 7-month pregnant belly. One cruiser blocked the front of her SUV. The other sat close behind her bumper, trapping her on the shoulder of Route 16. Officer, please. I'm 7 months pregnant. I'm just trying to get home. Officer Daniel Hayes stood at her window with one hand near his belt. His partner, Officer Brent Cole, moved behind the SUV, looking through the rear glass as if he expected to find something dangerous inside. License and registration, Hayes said. They're in my purse on the passenger seat. Maya answered quickly. May I reach for them? Hayes did not say yes. He looked at the purse, then at her stomach, then back at her face. The silence made her hand stay exactly where it was. Whose vehicle is this? He asked. Maya blinked. Mine. My husband and I own it. Hayes gave a short, humorless breath. We'll verify that. Maya kept her voice low. Officer, I just came from a prenatal appointment. My medical papers are right there on the seat. I can show you everything. Step out of the car, Hayes said. Her stomach tightened. Can I please stay seated while you check my ID? I'm having some back pain. Cole came closer from the rear. Ma'am, you need to step out. I will, Maya said, fighting to keep the panic out of her voice. I just need to move slowly. Hayes leaned slightly toward the window. You've been asked. Maya's eyes widened. No, sir. I'm not refusing. I'm telling you I'm pregnant. Pregnancy doesn't mean you don't follow instructions. What did I do wrong? She asked. Hayes's face did not change. Your vehicle matched a suspicious description. My vehicle? Maya repeated. There must be a mistake. That's what we're here to determine. Then please run the plate. My registration is in the car. My name is on it. Cole opened the rear passenger door without warning. Maya turned sharply. Please don't. There's just baby things back there. Keep your hands where I can see them. Hayes snapped. They are where you can see them. Don't raise your voice. Maya swallowed the rest of her sentence. She had not raised her voice. She had barely raised her breath. But she knew how quickly a black woman's fear could be renamed attitude. How quickly confusion could be written down as aggression. The baby shifted again. A dull ache moved across her lower back and settled low in her stomach. She tried to breathe through it, the way the nurse had taught her. Cole looked into the back seat and saw the small hospital bag Marcus had packed too early. A yellow baby blanket sat folded on top. Beside it were tiny socks, a pack of wipes, and a newborn outfit still clipped to the hanger. What's in the bag? Cole asked. Baby clothes, Maya said. A blanket. Things for the hospital. Hayes glanced at Cole, then back at Maya. Step out. Officer, please, Maya said, her voice breaking now. Let me get my ID first. Let me prove this is my car. You can prove it outside. I'm getting out, she said softly. Please give me a second. Hayes stepped back from the door but kept his eyes fixed on her hands. Maya reached for the handle slowly. Her fingers slipped once because they were damp with sweat. She opened the door and turned her body carefully, one leg at a time. The movement pulled at her back. She winced. Cole moved closer. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Maya looked at him, stunned. I'm not making it hard. I'm trying not to fall. She placed one foot on the pavement. Heat rose through the sole of her shoe. Her other hand stayed on her stomach. When she stood, the world tilted for half a second, and she gripped the edge of the door. Hayes stiffened. Hands off the vehicle. I need balance. Hands where I can see them. Maya lifted both hands slowly. Without the door to steady her, her knees felt weak. She breathed in, then out, trying to hold herself upright. The woman near the pharmacy took a small step forward. Officer, she's pregnant. Maybe let her sit. Hayes turned his head. Ma'am, stay back. The woman stopped. The phone at the gas station rose higher. Cole reached for Maya's arm. His fingers closed too tightly above her elbow. Please, Maya said. That hurts. Then stand still. I am standing still. Hayes moved in front of her. Do you have any weapons in the vehicle? No. Anything illegal? No. Of course not. You seem nervous. Maya stared at him. I'm surrounded by police on the side of the road while I'm 7 months pregnant. Yes, I'm nervous. For the first time, Hayes's expression sharpened into something like anger. Turn around and face the vehicle. Maya's breath caught. Why? Because I said so. My ID is right there, she said, tears filling her eyes. My medical papers are right there. Please, just look. Turn around. The baby pressed hard against her ribs. Maya let out a small sound and bent slightly. Cole tightened his grip. Don't move. I'm not moving. I'm having pain. Hayes looked toward the gathering crowd, then back at her, as if the cameras made him more determined, not less. Ma'am, if you keep resisting, this is going to get worse. I'm not resisting, Maya whispered. I'm scared. Maya's tears spilled over. She looked at the faces around her, at the raised phones, at the officers, at the open door of her SUV where the ultrasound envelope had slid from the seat and fallen to the floor mat. My name is Maya William, she said, voice shaking but clear enough for the phones to catch. I am 7 months pregnant. I have done nothing wrong. I am asking for help. And miles away, inside a black SWAT SUV moving through late afternoon traffic, a police radio crackled with the location of the stop, the description of the driver, and the plate number of Maya's car. The radio in the black SWAT SUV cracked again, sharp and ordinary, the way bad news often sounds before anyone understands it. Unit 12 requesting backup on Route 16 near Miller's Pharmacy. Black female driver, visibly pregnant. Dark SUV. Possible suspicious vehicle match. Subject reluctant to comply. Commander Marcus William looked up from the tablet on his lap. He had been reviewing a routine security map from an afternoon training exercise, half listening to the radio traffic the way a man does after years in uniform. Most calls passed through his mind as patterns. Traffic stop, domestic disturbance, shoplifting complaint, medical assist. He knew the rhythms of a county by the way dispatch breathed between words. But this one stopped him. Dispatch, he said, reaching for the radio mounted near the console. Repeat the plate on that Route 16 stop. The dispatcher read the plate again. Marcus did not move. For 1 second, his face went completely still. The driver beside him, Sergeant Luke Harris, glanced over. Commander? Marcus lifted the radio closer to his mouth. Say that plate, one more time. Dispatch repeated it slowly. There was no mistake. It was Maya's SUV. The same SUV he had washed in the driveway 2 Saturdays ago, while Maya sat on the porch with lemonade, laughing at him because he kept checking the tire pressure like the baby's life depended on it. The same SUV he had stocked with water bottles, a back cushion, wipes, and an emergency hospital bag before Maya told him he was acting like the child was arriving by helicopter. Marcus pulled his phone from his vest pocket and called her. It rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. No answer. His jaw tightened. He called again. Still nothing. Harris watched him carefully now. Sir? Marcus's voice dropped into something low and controlled. Turn around. Harris did not ask twice. He hit the lights, swung the big black SUV across the next break in traffic, and the engine growled as they headed back toward Route 16. Marcus keyed the radio again. Dispatch, this is Commander William. I'm en route to that stop. Advise Unit 12 to maintain scene discipline and not escalate. There was a pause, just long enough for Marcus to hear his own heartbeat. Copy, Commander. In the back seat, another SWAT officer sat forward. You know the driver? Marcus looked through the windshield at the late afternoon traffic parting under the pressure of the siren. That's my wife. No one in the vehicle spoke after that. En Route 16, Maya did not know Marcus had heard anything. She only knew Cole's fingers were still wrapped around her arm. Hayes was still standing in front of her, and her legs felt less certain with every passing second. I need to sit down, she said. Hayes glanced toward the growing line of cars slowing beside the shoulder. You'll sit when we're done. I'm dizzy. You should have thought about that before making this difficult. Maya stared at him. The words were so wrong, so casually cruel, that for a moment she could not answer. She had not made anything difficult. She had pulled over. She had asked permission. She had stood up while her back ached and her child pressed heavily inside her. She had begged in front of strangers with phones in their hands. A young man in a brown delivery uniform took a step closer from the edge of the gas station. "Officer," she said, "she's dizzy. Let her sit on the curb. At least." Hayes turned on him. "Back up. I'm just saying." I said, "Back up." The young man stopped, but he did not leave. His phone stayed up, the small red recording dot steady on the screen. Cole leaned toward Maya's ear. "You need to calm down." Maya gave a broken laugh that had no humor in it. "I was calm before you pulled me out of my car." "Ma'am," Cole said, as if the word itself made him reasonable. "We're trying to figure out what's going on. My license is in my purse. My registration is in the glove box. My medical papers are on the seat. Everything you need is right there." Hayes looked through the open driver's door. For a second, his eyes passed over the purse, the white ultrasound envelope on the floor, the clinic folder half visible on the passenger seat. He could have reached in and checked. He could have asked her to point. He could have run the plate properly and ended the whole thing before another car slowed to watch. Instead, he looked back at Maya. "Why are you so nervous?" Maya's throat tightened. "Because you won't listen to me." Hayes stepped closer. "Careful." That single word pulled something cold through the crowd. The woman holding the pharmacy bag pressed it against her chest. A man in a baseball cap muttered, "Lord have mercy," but he said it to himself, not to the officers. Maya felt a cramp ripple low across her stomach. She bent forward slightly, instinctively protecting the baby. Cole's grip tightened. "Stand up straight." "I can't," she whispered. "Please. I'm having pain." For the first time, something uncertain crossed Cole's face. He looked at Hayes. "Maybe we should let her sit while we check the vehicle." Hayes shot him a hard look. "Don't start second-guessing me in front of a crowd." Cole's mouth closed. Maya saw it. That tiny moment when one man knew enough to pause and still chose not to. It hurt almost as much as Hayes's cruelty, because it proved the truth had reached them and been pushed away. The delivery driver raised his voice again. "I got the whole thing on video," she asked before reaching. "She told you she was pregnant." Hayes pointed at him. "You interfere again. I'll detain you." "For what?" "Recording?" "For interfering." The young man swallowed, but he held the phone steady. "Then, I guess everybody better keep watching." More phones went up after that. Not because people suddenly became brave, but because one person had made it a little harder for all of them to pretend they had not seen. Maya looked toward the road. The sky had deepened into a dusty orange. Rush hour traffic moved in slow lines, drivers craning their necks. Somewhere beyond all those cars was home. The nursery. The unfinished crib. The little yellow blanket that Cole had pulled from the bag like it was evidence of something shameful. Her phone was still inside the SUV, resting in the cup holder where she had left it after Marcus's last text. "Call me if anything feels wrong." "I want to call my husband," Maya said. Hayes did not even blink. "Not right now." "I have the right to call someone. You're not under arrest." "Then why can't I sit? Why can't I get my ID? Why can't I call my husband?" Hayes's face hardened. "Because I'm still trying to determine who I'm dealing with." Maya's tears came again, hot and helpless. "I told you who I am." "No," he said. "You told me a name." For a moment, there was no sound but the traffic and the police lights clicking faintly in their housings. That sentence settled over Maya like a weight. "You told me a name." As if her name were not a fact. As if it were a claim waiting to be approved. As if the life she had built, the marriage she had honored, the child she carried, the documents sitting in plain sight inside the car were all just words from a woman he had already chosen not to believe. Then the distant siren came. At first it was thin, almost lost under traffic. Then it grew louder, deeper, different from the patrol cars. People turned their heads down the road. The delivery driver lowered his phone just enough to see over it. Cole looked toward the sound. "Is that ours?" Hayes listened, then touched his shoulder radio. "Dispatch. Confirm incoming unit." Before dispatch answered, the black SWAT SUV appeared between the cars, lights flashing, grille wide and dark, moving with the controlled urgency of something that expected the world to get out of its way. The crowd shifted back. Someone whispered, "SWAT?" Maya's face drained. "Why is SWAT coming?" Hayes seemed to stand taller. Whatever fear the sight should have given him became pride instead. He looked at Maya as if the arrival of that vehicle proved he had been right all along. "Don't move," he said. "I didn't do anything," Maya cried. "Why are they coming for me?" Cole moved closer, still holding her arm. "Just stay still." The SUV braked hard behind the patrol cars. Its doors opened. Marcus stepped out first. He wore his tactical uniform, black vest, radio clipped high on his shoulder, the name William printed across his chest. His face was cold, focused, unreadable. For one brief second, every person on that shoulder saw only the commander. Broad-shouldered, disciplined, dangerous in the quiet way powerful men can be when they do not need to shout. Hayes turned toward him quickly. "Commander, we have a non-compliant female driver. Possible suspicious vehicle." Marcus did not look at Hayes. His eyes moved past him. He saw the SUV, the open door, the baby blanket half hanging from the back seat, the ultrasound envelope on the floor, Cole's hand on Maya's arm. Then he saw Maya's face, and the commander disappeared. What replaced him was a husband whose whole world had just narrowed to the woman standing on the roadside, with tears on her cheeks and one hand shaking over their unborn child. "Maya," he said, barely above a breath. She turned toward his voice. For the first time since the lights came on behind her, Maya stopped trying to look calm. "Marcus," she sobbed, and Marcus Williams started running. If Maya and Marcus touched your heart in this moment, please like this video, comment where you are watching from, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and inspiring stories. Marcus crossed the shoulder in seconds, but to Maya, it felt like watching someone run toward her from the far end of a nightmare. Cole's hand was still locked around her arm when Marcus reached them. "Let her go," Marcus said. It was not shouted. It did not need to be. The words came out low, flat, and so cold that Cole released Maya before his mind seemed to understand why. Maya stumbled as soon as the pressure left her arm. Marcus caught her with both hands, one arm around her back, the other steadying her beneath the elbow. She folded into him as if her body had been waiting for permission to stop holding itself up. "Baby," he said, his voice breaking now. "Are you okay? Is the baby okay?" Maya tried to answer, but only a sob came out. She gripped the front of his vest with both hands, pressing her forehead against his chest. The hard edge of his tactical gear should have felt strange, but it was the first safe thing she had touched since the patrol lights came on. "I told them," she cried. "Marcus, I told them I was pregnant. I told them I had my papers. They wouldn't listen." His face changed at the sound of her voice. The fear stayed, but something harder rose underneath it. "Are you hurting?" "My back," she whispered, "and my stomach. I got dizzy. They wouldn't let me sit down." Marcus looked down at her belly, then at her face. "Has he been moving?" Maya nodded through tears. "A little. I think so. I don't know. I was scared." That answer was enough to pull the last warmth from Marcus's eyes. He turned his head toward the SWAT SUV without letting go of her. "Harris, medical kit. Now. And call EMS. Tell them 7 months pregnant. Possible stress response. Abdominal pain." Sergeant Harris was already moving. "Yes, Commander." Only then did Officer Hayes seem to find his voice. "Commander William, we were conducting a lawful stop. The driver was non-compliant, and the vehicle matched." Marcus turned toward him. Hayes stopped. The crowd saw it happen. The whole roadside seemed to take one breath and hold it. Marcus still had one arm around Maya, but the man looking at Hayes now was no longer only a husband. He was a commander, and every inch of him carried the weight of that title. "What did you call her?" Marcus asked. Hayes blinked. "Sir, you said the driver was non-compliant. What did you call her before I arrived?" Hayes glanced at Cole, then back at Marcus. "A subject, sir. We had not confirmed identity." Marcus stared at him for a long second. "Her name is Maya William." The name moved through the crowd in whispers before anyone understood why it mattered. Hayes swallowed. "William?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "My wife." The words landed harder than any shout could have. Cole's face went pale. Hayes stood motionless, his mouth slightly open, as if someone had cut the ground out from under him. The woman near the pharmacy covered her mouth with one hand. The delivery driver's phone stayed raised, its camera catching every second. Maya felt the change around her before she fully understood it. The same officers who had ignored her name now looked terrified of it. Marcus helped her sit on the open edge of the SWAT SUV's rear seat. Harris brought water and a medical pouch, crouching at a careful distance. "Ma'am," Harris said gently, "I'm going to check your pulse if that's all right." Maya nodded. "Okay." Marcus took off one glove and touched her cheek with his bare hand. His thumb brushed away tears he had not been there to stop. "I'm here," he said softly. "You're safe now." Maya looked past him at the two patrol officers. "I wasn't safe 5 minutes ago." The words hit him visibly. His eyes closed for half a second, not in weakness, but restraint. When he opened them, he leaned close and said, "I know." Harris checked her pulse, then looked at Marcus. "Fast. She's shaken up. EMS should look at her." "They're coming," Marcus said. Hayes took one cautious step closer. "Sir, we didn't know she was your wife." Marcus stood slowly. Maya reached for his hand, as if afraid of what his anger might do. He squeezed her fingers once, gently, then let go, and faced Hayes. "That," Marcus said, "is exactly the problem." Hayes looked confused. Marcus took one step toward him. "She should not have needed to be my wife." No one spoke. Even the traffic seemed quieter for a moment, though cars were still inching past, drivers staring through their windshields at a scene that had suddenly become something larger than a traffic stop. Marcus pointed toward Maya's SUV. "Her license is in the purse?" Maya nodded from the seat. "Passenger side. Registration? Glove box. Medical papers? On the seat. From the clinic." Marcus looked back at Hayes. "Did you check any of it?" Hayes opened his mouth, but no words came out quickly enough. Marcus turned to Cole. "Did either of you run the plate completely?" Cole shifted his weight. "We were in the process of..." Marcus cut him off. "That is not an answer." Cole's eyes dropped. "No, Commander." A murmur moved through the crowd. The delivery driver spoke up. "She asked them to check it. More than once." Hayes snapped his head toward him. "Stay out of this." Marcus's eyes moved to Hayes again. "Do not threaten a witness in front of me." Hayes went silent. Marcus walked to Maya's SUV. He did not rush. He opened the passenger door, picked up her purse carefully, then saw the white envelope on the floor mat. He bent and lifted it. The ultrasound photo had slipped halfway out. For a moment, the commander disappeared again. Marcus looked at the tiny gray profile of his son, the child whose heartbeat Maya had heard less than an hour ago, and something in his face broke quietly. He brought the envelope to Maya and placed it in her hands. She held it against her chest. Then Marcus returned to the front of the scene. "Officer Hayes, Officer Cole, name and badge numbers." Out loud. Hayes hesitated. Marcus's voice hardened. "Now." Cole gave his first, voice low and unsteady. Hayes followed, each number sounding heavier than the one before it. Marcus pulled out his phone. Hayes looked alarmed. "Commander, please, we can explain this." "You will," Marcus said. "To your chief, to Internal Affairs, and to every camera that recorded what you did before you knew who she belonged to." Maya heard that and lifted her head. "Marcus," she said softly. He turned immediately. She looked tired, frightened, still trembling, but her voice was clear. "I don't belong to you." His expression softened at once. "No, you don't." She touched her stomach. "But they should have seen me before you came." Marcus nodded slowly. The anger in him changed shape. It became something steadier, something that would last longer than rage. He turned back to the officers. "My wife is going to the hospital," he said. "Her vehicle will be secured and returned to our home. You two will remain on this scene until your supervisor arrives. You will not speak to witnesses except as directed. You will not touch that SUV again, and you will not rewrite what happened here before the footage is collected." Hayes looked at the crowd, at the phones, at Cole, then finally at Maya. "Ma'am, I'm sorry if..." "If?" Maya repeated. The single word stopped him. Her eyes filled again, but this time she did not look away. "You made me beg to be treated gently while I was carrying my child." Hayes's face lost the last of its color. In the distance, an ambulance siren began to rise. Marcus stepped back to Maya's side, took her hand, and held it with both of his. The crowd watched in silence as the red lights of the ambulance appeared down Route 16. And for the first time that evening, the lights coming toward Maya did not feel like danger. They felt like help. The ambulance came in behind the SWAT SUV and stopped with its lights washing the roadside in red. The sound of the siren died, but the tension it carried did not. For a moment, everyone stood where they were. The two patrol officers near Maya's SUV, Marcus beside his wife, the crowd along the gas station curb, and the young delivery driver, still holding his phone like it had become the only honest witness on Route 16. Two paramedics stepped out. The older one, a woman with gray threaded through her dark hair, took one look at Maya's swollen belly and moved faster. "Ma'am, I'm Denise. I'm going to check you and the baby as best I can right here, all right?" Maya nodded, but her eyes stayed on Marcus. "Don't leave. I'm not going anywhere," he said. Denise crouched in front of her while the younger medic opened a kit on the pavement. "How far along?" 7 months, Maya answered. "Any bleeding?" "No, I don't think so. Pain? My back. Low in my stomach. It comes and goes." Denise glanced at Marcus, then back at Maya. She kept her voice steady, the way good medics do when everyone around them is scared. "We're going to take your blood pressure, check your pulse, and then I want you transported to the hospital to be monitored. Stress can do ugly things to the body, especially during pregnancy." Maya let out a shaky breath. "That's what my nurse said. No stress." Denise looked toward the patrol cars, then at the two officers standing too quietly beside them. She did not say what she was thinking, but her face said enough. Marcus stood beside Maya while the cuff of the blood pressure monitor tightened around her arm. He watched the numbers appear. Too high, not dangerously high yet, but high enough to make the medic's mouth press into a line. "Commander," Denise said carefully, "I strongly recommend we take her in." "She's going," Marcus replied. Maya squeezed his hand. "I don't want to ride alone." "You won't." Hayes shifted a few feet away, as if distance could separate him from what had happened. Cole kept looking at Maya's SUV, then at the crowd, then down at the pavement. The confidence both men had carried earlier was gone. Without it, they looked smaller. Not harmless, but smaller. A patrol supervisor arrived next, a lieutenant in a white shirt named Paul Granger. He stepped out of his car with the expression of a man who had been told the fire was already burning, and he was expected to explain why no one had smelled smoke. "Commander William," he said, approaching carefully. "I got the call from dispatch. Chief Randall is on his way. I need to understand what happened here." Marcus turned toward him. "Then start with your officers." Granger looked at Hayes. "Officer Hayes?" Hayes straightened out of habit, but his voice was thin. "Sir, we initiated a stop based on a suspicious vehicle description. The driver was slow to comply and appeared nervous. We took safety precautions." The delivery driver laughed once, not because anything was funny, but because the lie had come dressed in such clean language. Hayes snapped. "You got something to say?" Marcus stepped between them with only half a movement. "He's a witness. You're done addressing him." Granger's eyes moved from Marcus to the phones around them. "Who has video?" Several hands lifted. Not proudly, slowly, as if the people holding the phones were just beginning to realize the weight of what they had captured. The delivery driver stepped forward. "I do. From almost the start," she asked before reaching for her purse. She told them she was pregnant. She asked to sit. They wouldn't let her. They opened the back door and started questioning her hospital bag. Granger looked at Cole. "You opened the vehicle?" Cole swallowed. "The door was unlocked. We had a safety concern." "What safety concern?" Cole glanced at Hayes. Marcus said, "Don't look at him. Answer your lieutenant." Cole's face tightened. There was a bag in the back seat. Maya, still seated on the edge of the SWAT SUV, closed her eyes. It was my baby's bag. Marcus walked to her SUV and opened the rear door wider. He lifted the yellow blanket from the seat with a care so gentle it made the crowd go quiet again. It was soft, folded unevenly now, one corner dragging near the dirty floor mat where Cole had pulled it aside. Marcus held it up. "This he said, turning to Granger. Was the safety concern? Granger did not answer immediately. The older woman from the pharmacy stepped forward, her paper bag clutched in both hands. She looked to be in her late 60s, maybe older, with tired eyes and the kind of Sunday blouse many women wore long after church had ended. I should have said something sooner, she said. Her voice shook, but she kept going. I heard her. She was polite, scared but polite. She told them she was pregnant over and over. Maya opened her eyes and looked at the woman. I'm sorry, honey, the woman said, tears filling her eyes. I just stood there. I told myself they knew something I didn't. Maya's face softened, even through the exhaustion. A lot of people tell themselves that. The words were not cruel. That made them worse. They settled over the crowd like a quiet sermon. Granger turned to Hayes. Did you run the plate? Hayes hesitated. We were about to confirm. Did you run it? No, sir, not fully. Did you check her license? She had not produced it yet. Maya's voice came from behind Marcus. Because he told me not to reach for my purse. The delivery driver added, that's on video too. Granger rubbed one hand over his mouth. He looked like a man aging by the second. Marcus handed the yellow blanket to Maya. She held it against her chest, with the ultrasound envelope tucked beneath it. Both symbols of the life everyone had nearly forgotten while arguing about suspicion. A black sedan pulled in behind the ambulance. Chief Randall stepped out, tall and gray-haired, wearing a dark suit instead of a uniform. He moved with the careful heaviness of someone who understood that cameras were not the danger here. The truth was, Commander William, he said. Chief. Randall looked at Maya first. That mattered. He removed his sunglasses and lowered his voice. Mrs. William, I'm sorry this happened to you. Medical care comes first. Maya nodded, but she did not thank him. She was too tired to reward basic decency. Randall turned to Hayes and Cole. Both of you are relieved from patrol duty effective immediately. Hand your service weapons to Lieutenant Granger and wait by his vehicle. Hayes went pale. Chief, sir, we were acting on... Stop, Randall said. The single word cut him off. Randall's voice stayed calm. There is body camera footage, civilian video, dispatch audio, and a pregnant woman on her way to the hospital because a traffic stop became something it never should have become. Do not make this worse by explaining before you have learned how to tell the truth. Cole lowered his head. Hayes looked as if he wanted to argue, but the crowd was watching. Marcus was watching, and for the first time that evening, the badge on his chest did not seem to protect him from consequence. The younger paramedic brought the stretcher closer. Maya looked at it, then at Marcus. I can walk. I know you can, he said softly, but you don't have to. That almost broke her again. For the past half hour, every request had been treated like resistance. Every fear had been treated like guilt. Every explanation had been treated like a story. Now someone was telling her she did not have to prove strength before receiving care. Marcus helped her stand. This time, no one barked an order. No one grabbed her arm. No one told her she was making things difficult. Denise guided her gently onto the stretcher and covered her legs with a clean blanket. As they lifted her, Maya looked toward her SUV. My purse. My phone. I've got them, Marcus said. He retrieved both, along with the clinic folder and the ultrasound photo. He placed the phone in her hand. The screen lit up with missed calls from him. Maya stared at them and whispered, I was going to call you. I kept thinking I shouldn't have to. Marcus walked beside the stretcher as they rolled her toward the ambulance. You shouldn't have had to. She looked at Hayes and Cole one last time. They stood near the lieutenant's car, stripped of command over the scene, their faces pale under the flashing lights. Then she looked at the crowd. Please don't just post the video, she said, her voice tired but clear. Remember what it felt like to watch and wonder if you should speak. No one answered, but several people lowered their phones. Marcus climbed into the ambulance beside her. Before the doors closed, Chief Randall stepped close. Commander, I'll secure the scene. Marcus looked at him. Secure the truth. Randall nodded. The ambulance doors shut, soft but final. And as it pulled away from Route 16, Maya held the yellow blanket in one hand and Marcus's hand in the other. Outside, the lights faded behind them. Inside, for the first time since the stop began, the only voice giving instructions belonged to someone trying to keep her and her baby alive. The ambulance moved through the thickening evening traffic with its lights flashing. But the siren stayed low now, pulsing only when cars failed to clear the lane. Inside, the space felt smaller than Maya expected. The walls were close, the air smelled of antiseptic and plastic, and every bump in the road sent a faint wave of pain across her lower back. Marcus sat beside her, one hand wrapped around hers and the other braced against the side rail. He had removed his tactical gloves, and his bare fingers were warm around her cold ones. Denise, the older paramedic, watched the monitor and spoke in a calm voice. "Maya, I want you to take slow breaths for me. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Don't try to hold anything in." Maya nodded, though tears kept slipping down the sides of her face. "I'm trying. You're doing fine." "I don't feel fine." "I know," Denise said. "But you're here now. We're checking you. That matters." Maya turned her head toward Marcus. They kept looking at me like I was lying. His jaw moved, but he did not answer right away. He was trying hard to be the man she needed in that ambulance, not the commander still burning inside his own chest. "I know," he said finally. "I told them my papers were there. I saw them. I told them about the baby." "I know." Her voice broke. "I shouldn't have had to keep saying it." Marcus leaned closer, lowering his forehead to her hand for one brief second. "No, you shouldn't have." Denise glanced at him. She had seen officers before. She had seen angry husbands. She had seen men trying to turn fear into volume. Marcus did none of that. He sat perfectly still, which somehow made his anger more visible. The younger paramedic, Aaron, adjusted the blood pressure cuff. "Still elevated," he said quietly. Maya heard him. Her eyes widened. "Is that bad? Is the baby in danger?" Denise touched her shoulder. "It means your body has been under stress. That does not mean something terrible is happening. We're getting you to labor and delivery so they can monitor the baby properly." Marcus squeezed Maya's hand. "Listen to her, one step at a time." Maya tried to nod, but another thought hit her. "My car. Sergeant Harris has it handled. He'll make sure it gets home." "My purse?" "Right here." Marcus lifted it from beside his boot. "Phone, clinic folder, ultrasound, everything." "The blanket?" He reached behind him and pulled the yellow baby blanket from the folded pile Denise had placed near the bench. "Safe." Maya let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. It seemed foolish to care about a blanket after everything that had happened, but she did. Her mother had mailed it from Birmingham with a note that said, "For my grandson," stitched with prayers. When Cole had pulled it from the bag like it might hide contraband, Maya had felt something inside her tear that no doctor could measure. Marcus placed the blanket against her side. Maya held it with her free hand. "I hated the way he touched it," she whispered. Marcus looked at the soft yellow fabric. "I know. It's just a blanket." "No," he said. "It isn't." The ambulance turned into Fairview Regional Medical Center. Through the small rear window, Maya saw the emergency entrance glowing white against the evening. Nurses moved behind glass doors. A man in work boots stood outside smoking beside a vending machine. Somewhere inside, families were waiting for news. Babies were being born. Old men were arguing with nurses about going home, and life was continuing as if Maya's world had not nearly cracked open on the shoulder of Route 16. The doors opened. Cool hospital air rushed in. Denise climbed out first. 30-year-old female, 7 months pregnant, elevated blood pressure, abdominal and back pain after acute stress event during police stop. She called to the receiving nurse. The words "police stop" made the nurse's eyes flick briefly to Marcus's uniform. Then she looked at Maya, and her expression softened. "We've got you, honey," the nurse said. "Let's get you upstairs." Maya was rolled through the automatic doors, past the bright emergency desk, into an elevator that smelled faintly of bleach and coffee. Marcus walked beside the stretcher until a nurse at labor and delivery stopped him. "Sir, we need to get her changed and hooked up first. You can come in as soon as we're ready." Marcus looked at Maya. Her grip tightened around his hand. "Don't go far. I'll be right outside the door." The nurse spoke gently. "I promise, Mrs. William. We'll bring him in as soon as we can." Maya let go because she had to. Marcus stepped back, but he stayed close enough for her to see him until the door swung shut. The room was quiet, except for the soft movements of nurses. They helped Maya change, placed monitors across her belly, checked her blood pressure again, asked questions she answered as best she could. How long had the pain been happening? Any bleeding? Any contractions? Had she fallen? Had anyone struck her? Had she been restrained? Maya hesitated at that last word. They held my arm. Hard. They made me stand. They wouldn't let me sit. The nurse's mouth tightened, but her voice stayed soft. "Okay, we're going to document that." Then the monitor found the baby's heartbeat. Fast, steady, alive. Maya covered her mouth and cried. The nurse smiled. "There he is." The sound filled the room. And for a moment Maya was back at the clinic before the sirens, before Hayes, before the crowd, before the world had asked her to prove she was worthy of gentleness. Only now, the heartbeat meant more. It was not just a sign of life. It was a small defiance. The door opened, and Marcus stepped in. He froze when he heard it. Maya looked at him through tears. "He's still here." Marcus crossed the room slowly, as if moving too fast might break the moment. He sat beside her and took her hand again. His eyes shone, but he did not let the tears fall. "Hey, little man," he said, voice rough. "You scared your daddy today." Maya gave a weak laugh. "You? I thought SWAT commanders didn't scare easy." "They do when their whole life is in one hospital bed." She looked at him for a long moment. Then the smile faded. "Marcus, what happens now?" He did not pretend not to understand. "Chief Randall is securing the scene. Internal Affairs will review the body cameras, dispatch audio, and civilian video. Hayes and Cole are off patrol pending investigation. Will they say I caused it?" Marcus's face hardened. "They can try. They said I was nervous, like that meant something." "It did mean something," he said. "It meant you were afraid because they gave you a reason to be." Maya looked toward the monitor, watching the lines move. "I keep thinking about that woman by the pharmacy. She looked so sorry. She should be. She wasn't the one who hurt me." "No," Marcus said. "But silence helps the ones who do." Maya turned back to him. "Have you ever been silent?" The question landed between them quietly. Marcus did not answer too fast. That was one of the reasons she loved him. He did not rush past the truth when it made him uncomfortable. "Yes," he said. "Not today. But yes." She nodded, not accusing him, just hearing him. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and stepped toward the corner of the room, still where Maya could see him. "William?" he answered. Chief Randall's voice was low but audible in the quiet room. Marcus listened without interrupting. His eyes moved once to Maya, then to the monitor, then back to the floor. "When?" Marcus asked. Another pause. "Good. Preserve everything. Body cams, dash cams, dispatch logs, civilian uploads if they'll provide them voluntarily. And Chief, make sure no one contacts my wife for a statement until her doctor clears it." Maya watched him. Even now, he was drawing a line around her. Not with his arms this time, but with procedure, with authority, with the kind of calm that made careless men nervous. Marcus ended the call. "What did he say?" Maya asked. "The stop never matched your plate. Similar vehicle, different numbers. They had enough information to slow down before they ever opened your door." Maya closed her eyes. There it was. The simplest truth. The cruelest one. "They could have known," she whispered. Marcus sat beside her again. "Yes, they just didn't want to." He did not correct her. The baby's heartbeat continued, steady in the room. Maya listened to it, then looked down at the yellow blanket folded beside her. "Then don't let them make this about a mistake," she said. Marcus leaned closer. Her voice was tired, but it did not shake now. "A mistake is taking the wrong exit. A mistake is forgetting milk at the grocery store." They looked at me and decided the facts could wait. Marcus nodded slowly. Outside the hospital window, the last light of the day slipped behind the parking garage. Inside, Maya held her husband's hand, the baby's heartbeat filling the room like a promise, and both of them understood that getting safely to the hospital was not the end of what had happened. It was only the first place where the truth could breathe. Marcus stayed beside Maya until the doctor came in, and even then, he only stepped back far enough to let the woman work. Dr. Elaine Porter was in her late 50s, with silver hair pulled into a low bun and reading glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. She had the steady manner of someone who had delivered babies through hurricanes, power outages, family arguments, and every kind of fear a mother could bring into a hospital room. "Maya," she said, looking at the monitor first and then at her patient, "your baby's heartbeat looks good right now. That's the best news in this room." Maya's eyes filled again. "So, he's okay?" "So far, he is doing what we want him to do. I don't like your blood pressure, and I don't like that you've been under this level of stress. So, we're going to keep you for observation. We'll monitor contractions, run labs, and make sure your body settles down before we even talk about sending you home." Marcus stood near the foot of the bed, arms folded, trying not to look as tense as he felt. "Is there anything else we should watch for?" Dr. Porter turned to him. "Pain that gets stronger, bleeding, reduced movement, headache, vision changes. Right now she needs quiet, real quiet, not just the kind people say they'll give a pregnant woman while standing over her with questions." Maya almost smiled. "Doctor, I think I like you. I get that a lot from people who listen." Dr. Porter looked at Marcus long enough to make sure he understood. "No interviews tonight. No statements. No officers coming in here unless she asks for them. Whatever happened out there can wait until she and this baby are stable." Marcus nodded. "Understood." Maya watched him say it and knew he meant it, but she also knew his phone was full of missed calls by now. Chief Randall, Sergeant Harris, maybe the county attorney, maybe reporters already. A man like Marcus could sit still, but the world around him would not. The doctor left, and the room settled into the steady rhythm of the fetal monitor. Maya leaned back against the pillow, exhausted in a way sleep alone could not fix. Marcus pulled a chair close to the bed. "You want the lights dimmed?" "A little." He stood, adjusted the lights, then returned to her side. The room softened. Outside the window, the hospital parking lot glowed under tall lamps. A few people moved between cars with the slow, worried walk of families waiting for news. Maya touched the yellow blanket folded beside her. "My mama's going to lose her mind when she hears about this. Do you want to call her?" "Not yet." Maya shook her head. "She'll hear my voice and know I've been crying. Then she'll call Aunt Ruth, and Aunt Ruth will call the church prayer chain. And before midnight, half of Birmingham will think I'm in labor." Marcus gave a quiet laugh. The first real one since he had reached her on the roadside. "That sounds accurate. 1. She'll say, 'Maya, Denise, William, I told you this world will test a gentle woman just to see if she'll stay gentle.' Your mother said that?" "More than once." Maya looked at him. "Usually, after somebody mistook her kindness for permission." Marcus's smile faded. "Did they?" "All the time." The monitor kept beating. Fast, steady, small. Maya stared toward the ceiling. "When I was 12, Mama took me to a department store for an Easter dress. I remember this white clerk following us from rack to rack. Mama kept smiling at her, asking about sizes, saying thank you. I was so mad I wanted to cry. In the parking lot, I asked her why she stayed so polite. Marcus listened without interrupting. She told me, 'Baby, I wasn't being polite for her. I was keeping control of myself for me.'" Maya swallowed. "I thought about that today. I kept trying to stay calm for me, for the baby. But the calmer I got, the more they acted like I was hiding something." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "That's what scares me." "What?" "That they turned every good choice you made into another reason not to believe you." Maya nodded slowly. That's exactly what it felt like. His phone vibrated again. He looked at the screen but did not answer. "You can take it," Maya said. "No." "Marcus." He looked up. "You can't fix anything if you ignore everybody. I can ignore them for another 5 minutes." She squeezed his hand. "Take the call, but stay where I can see you." He answered and put the phone to his ear. "William," Maya heard Chief Randall's voice, low and rough, through the speaker. Marcus did not put it on speaker, but the room was quiet enough that pieces drifted across. "We've reviewed the first portion of the body cam," Randall said. It's bad. Marcus's face did not change. Define bad. She asked permission before reaching. Hayes told her not to. Then he claimed she refused to produce ID. Cole opened the rear door before any probable cause was established. The plate mismatch was available in dispatch notes within 2 minutes. Maya closed her eyes. 2 minutes. All that fear, all those strangers, all that begging, and the truth had been sitting there almost from the beginning. Marcus's voice stayed flat. And Hayes? He's already asking for representation. Good. He'll need it. A pause. Then Randall said, "There's more. The delivery driver's video is spreading. Not nationally yet, but locally fast. The line getting shared is when she says she's 7 months pregnant and asking for help. People are angry." Marcus looked at Maya, then turned slightly away, not to hide from her, but to keep his anger from filling the room. "Keep reporters away from the hospital. I'm working on it. I've also ordered Hayes and Cole placed on administrative leave pending internal affairs review." "Paid leave?" Marcus asked. "For now. You know the process." "I know the process," Marcus said. "I also know how often process becomes a pillow for people who need a hard floor." Randall sighed. "Marcus, I'm not defending them. Then don't protect them." "I won't." Marcus ended the call and stood there for a moment with the phone in his hand. Maya watched him. 2 minutes? He turned back. They knew in 2 minutes? His silence answered before he did. "The mismatch was available," he said carefully. "They didn't follow through." Maya let out a breath that shook. "I kept asking them to check. I kept thinking there must be some piece missing. Something they knew that I didn't. There wasn't. That's worse." "I know. No," she said softly. "It's worse because if there had been some real reason, maybe I could make sense of it. But there wasn't. They just saw me, and that was enough for them to start." Marcus sat beside her again. His eyes were heavy now, not with tears, but with the burden of knowing she was right. Maya touched the blanket. "When Cole pulled this out of the bag, I wanted to scream. My mother prayed over this blanket. She folded it herself. He held it like it was dirty." Marcus looked at the yellow fabric. "It's going in the report." "The blanket?" "Yes." Maya frowned a little. Marcus picked it up gently and laid it across her lap. "Because it matters. Not legally the way a license plate matters, but it tells the truth in a way paperwork can't." They looked at baby clothes and still chose suspicion. Maya ran her fingers over the soft edge. "Will anyone care?" "I will. That's not what I mean." "I know." He looked toward the door, toward the hallway beyond it, toward the system he belonged to and now had to confront from inside. "Then, I'll make them care." The baby's heartbeat continued, filling the small room with its steady insistence. Maya listened to it and finally let her eyes close. "Marcus, I'm here. When our son is old enough to hear this story, I don't want him to think his daddy saved the day because he had a badge." Marcus leaned closer. "I want him to know his mother told the truth before anyone powerful arrived." Marcus took her hand and pressed it to his lips. "Then that's how we'll tell it." Outside, the hospital hallway grew louder with footsteps, phone calls, and the first murmurs of a story beginning to travel beyond Route 16. Inside the room, Maya held the yellow blanket against her belly and listened to her son's heartbeat, the smallest witness of all, still speaking clearly when so many grown people had failed to. By 9 o'clock that night, the video had already left Route 16. It moved from the delivery driver's phone to a neighborhood Facebook group, then to a local news page, then to people who did not know Maya's name, but knew exactly what they were watching. A pregnant black woman standing beside an SUV, 2 patrol officers refusing to let her sit. Her voice shaking as she said, "My name is Maya William. I am 7 months pregnant. I have done nothing wrong. I am asking for help." In the hospital room, Maya did not watch it at first. She heard about it in pieces, through the way nurses looked at her, through the careful silence when someone stepped in to check the monitor, through Marcus's phone lighting up again and again on the table beside him. He had turned the ringer off, but light still has a way of making noise. Maya opened her eyes. "It's spreading, isn't it?" Marcus looked up from the chair beside her bed. "Yes." "How bad? For them?" His mouth tightened. "Bad. For us." He did not answer quickly enough. Maya understood. She turned her face toward the window, where the night outside reflected her own tired expression back at her. People are going to say I should have just done what they said. You did. They'll say I was making it about race. Marcus leaned forward. They made it about race the moment they decided your name, your papers, and your pregnancy weren't enough. She looked back at him. That won't stop them from saying it. No, he said. It won't. The honesty comforted her more than a promise would have. A soft knock came at the door, and Nurse Angela stepped in. She was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes, white sneakers, and the calm authority of someone who had raised children, buried parents, and worked night shifts long enough to know when a room needed gentleness more than medicine. Still doing okay in here? She asked. Maya gave a tired nod. Trying. Angela checked the fetal monitor, then the blood pressure cuff. Baby still sounds strong. Pressure's coming down a little. Not where we want it, but better. Marcus exhaled quietly. Angela glanced at him. You can breathe too, Commander. That machine is not only for mothers. For the first time in hours, Maya almost laughed. Marcus rubbed both hands over his face. I'm trying, ma'am. Angela looked at Maya. There's a woman out by the nurse's station asking if she can leave something for you. She says she was at the pharmacy. Maya went still. The older woman? I believe so. She said you don't have to see her. She just wanted to leave a note. Marcus's face hardened. Maya doesn't need visitors tonight. I know, Angela said, not offended. That's why I'm asking. Maya stared down at the yellow blanket across her lap. She remembered the woman's face, the way shame had folded into it on the roadside. I should have said something sooner. Maya had heard that sentence many times in different forms. After unfairness, after insult, after harm. It always came late, carrying flowers to a house already burned. What's her name? Maya asked. Evelyn Parker. Maya closed her eyes for a moment. Just the note. Angela nodded. I'll bring it in. When she left, Marcus watched Maya carefully. You don't owe her anything. I know. You don't have to make anybody else feel better about what they didn't do. I know that too. Then why take it? Maya opened her eyes. Because I want to know if she's sorry for me, or sorry she saw herself. Marcus did not argue. He only reached for her hand. A few minutes later, Angela returned with a folded sheet of paper torn from a small notebook. Maya took it but did not open it right away. Her fingers rested on the crease. You want me to read it first? Marcus asked. No. She unfolded the paper slowly. The handwriting was shaky but clear. Mrs. William, I was the woman standing outside Miller's pharmacy. I heard you ask for help. I heard you say you were pregnant. I told myself the officers must know something I didn't. I am 71 years old, and I have used that excuse too many times in my life. I am sorry I did not speak sooner. I am giving my name and number to the investigators. What happened to you was wrong before I knew who your husband was. I should have known that out loud. Maya read the last sentence twice. What happened to you was wrong before I knew who your husband was. Her throat tightened. Marcus watched her face. What does it say? She handed it to him. He read it in silence, then set it carefully beside the ultrasound photo. That line matters, he said. Yes, Maya whispered. It does. His phone lit again. This time the name on the screen was Chief Randall. Marcus looked at Maya before answering. Take it, she said. He stood, but stayed near the bed. William. Randall's voice came through, low and strained. The delivery driver came to the station voluntarily. Name is Jordan Ellis, 26, works for a medical supply company. He gave us the original file from his phone. Good. He also gave a statement. So did Evelyn Parker. 2 others are coming in tomorrow. Marcus looked at Maya. People are starting to talk. They should have talked on the road. I agree, Randall said. But they're talking now, and the footage confirms the sequence. Hayes initiated the stop off a partial description from a separate call. Similar vehicle. Not the same plate. Dispatch flagged the mismatch. He didn't acknowledge it. Marcus's voice lowered. Did he hear it? Yes. The word settled into the room like a stone. Maya saw Marcus's shoulders stiffen. So, this wasn't confusion. No. Randall said. Not after that point. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. And Colt? Cole's body cam shows him questioning it once, quietly, then backing down when Hayes shut him up. Maya turned her face away. That hurt in a different way. Hayes had frightened her. Cole had disappointed something in her she had not even known was still hopeful. One man had pushed. The other had known enough to hesitate and still used his hands to help. Marcus asked, "What happens tonight?" "Administrative leave is official. Internal affairs opens tomorrow morning. I'm requesting an outside reviewer from the state police to avoid conflict, given your position." "Good. There's something else," Randall said. "Reporters are outside the hospital." Marcus looked toward the door. "Keep them out. Hospital security is handling it. But this is moving fast. By morning it may be national," Maya whispered. "Marcus." He turned the phone slightly away. "Hold on, Chief." Then to her, softer. "What is it?" She looked at the monitor, then at the note from Evelyn, then at the ultrasound photo. "If they ask for a statement, I don't want you speaking for me." His expression changed. Not hurt, not surprised. Proud, maybe, though burdened by it. "All right, I'm not ready tonight. But when I am, I want them to hear it from me." Marcus nodded. "They will." She touched her belly as the baby moved beneath her palm. "Because our son needs to know I had a voice before you arrived." Marcus brought her hand to his lips. "He will." He returned to the call. "Chief, Maya won't be making a statement tonight. When she does, it will be hers. Until then, no one gets near this room." "Understood," Randall said. After the call ended, the room grew quiet again. Outside the door, footsteps passed. Voices murmured. Wheels rolled over polished floors. The world was still moving, still talking, still deciding what Maya's pain meant to people who had not lived it. She looked at Evelyn's note one more time and folded it carefully. "Marcus, I'm here. Tomorrow, people will argue about the video. Yes, they'll slow it down, cut it up, defend them, blame me, say I should have smiled more, moved faster, sat calmer." Marcus said nothing because she was right. Maya placed the note beside the yellow blanket. "But tonight, before all that noise gets to it, I want to remember what really happened." He leaned close. She looked straight at him. "I told the truth. They ignored it. Strangers watched. One man recorded. One woman regretted. You came, and our baby's heart kept beating." Marcus's eyes shone in the dim hospital light. "That's the story." Maya closed her eyes, finally letting exhaustion pull at her. "Then don't let them write another one." "I won't," he said. And beside them, the monitor kept its steady rhythm, speaking for the smallest person in the room, the only witness who had never looked away. Maya slept in pieces. She would drift for 10 or 15 minutes, then wake with her fingers gripping the yellow blanket, her body bracing for a command that was no longer there. Once, just after midnight, she opened her eyes and whispered, "My hands are up," before she understood she was in a hospital bed, not on Route 16. Marcus was there every time. He sat in the chair beside her with his elbows on his knees, his vest gone now, his uniform shirt wrinkled, his eyes red from refusing sleep. When she startled, he stood. When she cried, he held her hand. When the nurse came in to check the monitor, he stepped back without being asked, then returned as soon as the nurse left. Near dawn, the room was quiet, except for the soft beat of the baby's heart and the hum of the machines. Maya opened her eyes and found Marcus watching the window where the sky had begun to turn gray. "You didn't sleep," she said. He looked at her. "Neither did you." "I'm the patient. I have an excuse. I'm the husband. I have a better one." She gave him a tired look. "That was almost sweet. Almost is all I've got right now." For a moment, they managed something close to a smile. Then Maya's eyes moved to his phone on the windowsill. It had been lighting up all night, though he had stopped checking it in front of her. "How bad is it this morning?" she asked. Marcus followed her gaze. "The video's everywhere locally. A few national reporters picked it up before sunrise." "What are they calling it?" He hesitated. "Marcus, the Route 16. "Stop." Maya looked away. "Of course. They always name the place like it wasn't people who did it." Before Marcus could answer, There was a knock. Nurse Angela came in carrying a cup of ice water and the kind of expression that meant she had news, but did not want to drop it too hard. "Morning," she said gently. "Blood pressure is better. Baby still looks good. Dr. Porter will be in soon, but she'll probably keep you through the afternoon at least." Maya nodded. "Thank you." Angela set the water down. "Your mother has called the nurse's desk 3 times. Maya closed her eyes. "Lord," Marcus straightened. 3? Angela gave him a look. "Commander, if my pregnant daughter was on the news, I'd have called 6. Maya reached for her phone. "I should call her before she gets on a plane. She may already be looking at flights," Marcus said. Maya called. Her mother answered before the first ring finished. "Maya Denise William." Maya winced. "Hi, Mama." "Do not hi, Mama me, like I didn't wake up to half my church sending me a video of my baby crying on the side of the road. I'm okay. You are in a hospital bed. The baby's heartbeat is good." There was silence on the other end. When her mother spoke again, her voice was softer, and that was worse. "Let me hear you say it again." Maya swallowed. "The baby is okay, Mama." A breath broke through the phone. "Thank you, Jesus." Marcus stood quietly beside the bed, giving Maya privacy without leaving her alone. Her mother continued. "And Marcus? He's here. He better be." Marcus leaned closer. "I am. Mrs. Denise. Don't you Mrs. Denise me. I saw that video. I saw those men with their hands on my daughter while she begged. You tell me those officers are not walking around this morning like nothing happened." "They're on administrative leave," Marcus said. "Internal Affairs opens this morning. The chief has requested an outside reviewer." "Administrative leave sounds too much like vacation." "I know. Then make sure it doesn't become one." "I will." Maya looked at Marcus as her mother's words settled between them. That was the thing about older black women like her mother. They had lived long enough to distrust soft words wrapped around hard injustice. They knew how often process moved slowly when pain had happened quickly. "Mama," Maya said, "I don't want you coming today. Not yet. You don't get to tell me not to come. I need quiet, please." Her mother paused. "Are you asking me as my grown daughter, or telling me as a pregnant woman who needs her mama to behave?" "Both." A small sigh came through. "Fine, but I'm packing a bag." Maya almost laughed. "I know." And Maya, "Yes, ma'am. You did not do anything wrong." The words went straight through her. Maya pressed her lips together, but tears came anyway. "I know," she whispered. "No, baby. You know it in your head. I need you to let it reach the places they scared last night." Maya closed her eyes. "I'm trying." After the call ended, she held the phone against her chest. Marcus sat beside her. "Your mother terrifies me." "She should. She also loves you hard. That's the only way she knows how." A few minutes later, Chief Randall arrived with Lieutenant Granger and a woman Marcus did not recognize. Randall introduced her as Captain Lillian Shaw from the State Police Professional Standards Division. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with a navy blazer, gray hair cut at her jaw, and a notebook already open in one hand. Maya sat up a little. Marcus moved to help, but she shook her head. "I'm okay." Captain Shaw stepped forward. "Mrs. William, I'm not here to question you today. Your doctor has made that clear, and I respect it. I only wanted you to see my face and hear directly that an outside review has begun." Maya studied her. "Outside of their department?" "Yes, ma'am." "And outside of Marcus?" Shaw glanced at him, then back at Maya. "Yes, because your husband's position matters, and so does your trust in the outcome." Maya nodded slowly. "Good." Randall looked older than he had on the roadside. "The initial review confirms Officer Hayes failed to act on dispatch information, showing the vehicle did not match the suspect plate. Officer Cole questioned the escalation, but did not intervene. Both body cameras are secured. Dash camera footage is secured. We have statements from Mr. Jordan Ellis, Mrs. Evelyn Parker, and 2 additional witnesses." Maya listened without expression. "Did Officer Hayes say why he didn't check?" Randall's mouth tightened. "He claims the scene was moving quickly." Maya looked down at her belly, then back at him. "I was standing still." No one answered, because no one could improve on the truth. Captain Shaw wrote something in her notebook. Maya looked at Marcus. What about my car? Marcus said. Harris took it home. Your hospital bag is in the nursery. Your purse is here. Nothing is missing. The blanket got dirty. I'll wash it by hand. Despite everything, Maya gave him a weak smile. You don't know how to wash anything by hand. I can command a tactical entry team. That's not the same as laundry. Captain Shaw's face softened for the first time, but only for a moment. Randall cleared his throat. Reporters are requesting a statement. You are under no obligation to give one. I know, Marcus said. You don't have to do anything today. Maya looked at the ultrasound photo on the table, then at Evelyn Parker's note beside it. She thought about the people who would spend the morning arguing over her fear like it was evidence. She thought about her mother saying the truth had to reach the places that had been scared. She thought about her son, who had heard everything from inside her body and still kept beating. I won't speak to reporters, Maya said. Not from a hospital bed. Marcus nodded, relieved. But I want one sentence released. Randall took out his phone. Tell me. Maya rested a hand on her stomach and spoke slowly. I was lucky my husband heard the call. No woman's safety should depend on who loves her, who knows her, or who has the power to show up. The room went quiet. Captain Shaw stopped writing for a second, then looked directly at Maya. That is a statement. No, Maya said. That is the truth. Marcus reached for her hand, and this time, with the morning light touching the edge of the bed, Maya did not feel like a woman waiting to be believed. She felt like a woman placing the first stone where a road to justice might begin. By noon, Maya's sentence had traveled farther than the video. I was lucky my husband heard the call. No woman's safety should depend on who loves her, who knows her, or who has the power to show up. The hospital released it exactly as she had spoken it. No polished language, no legal padding, no attempt to make it softer for people who preferred their truth in smaller pieces. By lunchtime, the words were on local television, on church Facebook pages, on neighborhood message boards, and in the comment sections where strangers argued as if Maya's fear had been a public debate instead of a human event. In her hospital room, Maya watched none of it. She lay on her side with the yellow blanket tucked under one hand and the fetal monitor still strapped across her belly. The baby's heartbeat filled the room in steady waves. Marcus sat beside her, reading every update on his phone in silence and telling her only what she needed to know. Don't protect me from everything, Maya said after catching him frown at the screen for the third time. Marcus looked up. I'm not. You have your commander face on. I only have one face. That is not true. You have the commander face, the husband face, and the face you make when you're trying to assemble furniture without reading the directions. He almost smiled. That crib is standing. That crib is leaning. It has character. For a few seconds, they let themselves be married people instead of a headline. Then his phone buzzed again, and the weight returned. What is it? Maya asked. Marcus hesitated. Tell me. Hayes's attorney released a statement. Maya closed her eyes. Already? Yes. What does it say? Marcus hated every word before he spoke it. That Officer Hayes acted in good faith based on the information available at the time, that the situation was tense, and that he regrets any distress Mrs. William may have experienced. Maya opened her eyes slowly. Any distress. I know. Not the distress he caused. The distress I may have experienced. Marcus's jaw tightened. They're trying to make it sound like the weather. Maya looked toward the window. And Cole? No statement yet. He knew, she said quietly. Marcus did not answer. That's the part I keep going back to, Maya continued. Hayes looked at me like he had already decided. But Cole, there was a moment. I saw it. He knew it was wrong. He just didn't want to be the one to say so. Marcus leaned forward. That kind of silence has a badge, too. Before Maya could reply, Nurse Angela stepped in with a small tray and a look that said she had been listening just long enough to understand the room. Doctor wants you to eat something, Angela said. Even if it's just toast. Maya glanced at the covered plate. Hospital toast? Don't insult my department before you try it. Marcus stood. I can go get her something better. Angela pointed a finger at him. You can sit down. She needs calm, not a tactical meal plan. Maya smiled faintly. Thank you. Angela set the tray down and checked the monitor. Baby still sounds good. Your pressure is improving. Dr. Porter may discharge you tomorrow if you behave. I always behave, Maya said. Marcus made a sound. Maya turned her head. Excuse me? He lifted both hands. I said nothing. Angela chuckled, then looked toward the door. Her face grew more serious. There are people downstairs. Reporters. A few community folks. Some are praying. Some are angry. Security is keeping the floor clear. Maya absorbed that. Praying is all right. Angry? Marcus asked. Angela looked at him. That depends what they do with it. After she left, Maya picked at the toast because everyone seemed to need her to do it. Marcus watched like she was defusing a bomb. Stop staring, she said. I'm not. You command entire teams with less intensity than you watch me eat toast. He looked down, ashamed of the truth in it. I keep thinking about the call. What call? The radio call. If I had been 5 miles farther out, if the dispatcher had not repeated the plate, if Harris had turned the volume down, if I had missed it, but you didn't. This time, Maya studied him. That's what scares you. Yes, me too. The room went quiet around that shared fear. At the county police headquarters, Chief Randall stood in a conference room with Captain Lillian Shaw, Lieutenant Granger, the county attorney, and 3 screens showing paused frames from different cameras. One frame showed Maya at her open car door, one hand lifted, the other on her stomach. Another showed Cole at the rear passenger door, the yellow blanket in his hand. The third showed Hayes facing the crowd, his mouth open mid-command. Randall looked at the images and felt the old familiar sickness of leadership after failure. Not surprise. Something worse. Recognition. Captain Shaw stood beside him with her notebook open. Walk me through the timeline again. Granger cleared his throat. Initial stop at 5:41 p. Hayes reports suspicious vehicle match. Dispatch flags partial mismatch at 5:43. At 5:44, Maya William asks to retrieve ID. Hayes denies movement. At 5:46, Cole opens rear passenger door. At 5:47, civilian witness Jordan Ellis begins recording. At 5:49, driver requests to sit due to pregnancy-related discomfort. Denied. At 5:52, Commander William hears radio traffic and requests plate confirmation. At 5:56, SWAT SUV arrives. Captain Shaw's pen moved across the page. So between the mismatch being available and Commander William arriving, they had roughly 13 minutes to correct course. Yes, Granger said. And did either officer state on camera that the plate mismatch existed? No. Did dispatch repeat it? Yes. Did Hayes acknowledge? Granger looked at Randall. No. Captain Shaw closed her notebook halfway. Then this is not just escalation. This is ignored information. The county attorney shifted uncomfortably. We should be cautious with language until interviews are complete. Captain Shaw looked at him. I am being cautious. I did not say motive. I said information was ignored. The footage supports that. Randall nodded once. Proceed on that basis. At that moment, the door opened, and an administrative assistant stepped in. Chief, Officer Cole is asking to make a supplemental statement. Randall's eyes narrowed. Now? Yes, sir. He says he needs to correct his initial report. Captain Shaw looked toward the frozen image of Cole holding the baby blanket. Let him. 15 minutes later, Cole sat in a small interview room with his hands folded on the table. He looked younger than he had on the roadside. Or maybe fear had stripped away the performance of authority. Captain Shaw sat across from him. Randall stood near the wall. Cole stared at the recorder on the table. When you're ready, Shaw said. Cole swallowed. Officer Hayes said the driver was stalling. I repeated that in my report. And now? Cole looked down. Now I need to say that wasn't true. She was scared, and she was moving slow because she was pregnant. She asked before reaching. She asked to sit. She asked us to check her papers. I knew we should have slowed down. Shaw's voice stayed even. Why didn't you? Cole's eyes reddened. Because Hayes was senior on the stop. That is not an answer. He nodded, ashamed. Because I was afraid to challenge him in front of people. Randall's face hardened. You were afraid of embarrassment. She was afraid for her child. Cole did not lift his head. Yes, sir. Back at the hospital, Maya did not know Cole was speaking. She only knew that near mid-afternoon, her son kicked hard enough to make the monitor shift, and Marcus jumped like a rookie. Maya laughed for real then, small but clear. Marcus stared at her, startled by the sound. What? She asked. I missed that. My laugh? He nodded. She reached for his hand and placed it on her stomach. The baby kicked again, right beneath his palm. Marcus closed his eyes. For one moment, there were no cameras, no statements, no attorneys, no officers trying to rename harm as procedure. There was only a mother, a father, and a child, insisting on being felt. Then Maya whispered, "Whatever happens next, Marcus, don't let them make this only about me." He opened his eyes. I won't. Make it about the next woman on the next road. Marcus looked at her, then at the yellow blanket, then at the monitor still keeping time beside them. I promise, he said. And for the first time since Route 16, Maya believed that the story might become more than evidence. It might become a door. That evening, Chief Randall called a closed meeting at the county police headquarters, but nothing about it felt closed anymore. Outside the building, news vans lined the curb. Their satellite masts reached into the dark like metal fingers. A small crowd had gathered near the front steps, church members holding candles, older men in ball caps standing with their arms folded, mothers with children pressed close to their sides, and a few retired officers who looked less angry than ashamed. Inside, in the conference room, Officer Daniel Hayes sat at one end of the table with his attorney beside him. Officer Brent Cole sat 3 chairs away. No attorney yet. No confidence left. His hands folded so tightly his knuckles had gone white. Captain Lillian Shaw from the state police sat across from them with her files arranged in a neat stack. Chief Randall stood near the screen, remote in hand. Marcus was not supposed to be in the room. Everyone knew why. He was too close to the case. His wife was the woman in the video. His unborn son had been the child whose safety had been treated like an inconvenience on the side of Route 16. For the sake of process, he had agreed not to participate in the interviews. But Chief Randall had called him anyway, not as an investigator, not as a commander, but as the man whose unit had arrived on scene and whose body camera had captured the final minutes before Maya was taken to the hospital. Marcus sat near the wall, silent, jaw set, hands resting on his knees. He did not look at Hayes unless Hayes spoke. Randall dimmed the lights. The video began. There was Maya, standing beside her SUV, one hand on her stomach, the other lifted slightly as if even gravity needed permission. Hayes's voice came through the speakers. "Hands where I can see them. They are where you can see them," Maya replied. The room watched in silence. Then came Maya's request to sit. Cole's hand on her arm. The delivery driver's voice from a distance. The yellow blanket pulled from the hospital bag. Hayes asking why she was nervous. Maya answering, "I'm surrounded by police on the side of the road while I'm 7 months pregnant." "Yes, I'm nervous." Captain Shaw paused the video. She looked at Hayes. "At this moment, dispatch had already informed you that the plate did not fully match the suspicious vehicle report. Did you hear that update?" Hayes sat back. "There was a lot happening. That is not what I asked." His attorney leaned forward. "My client was operating under pressure during an uncertain stop." Captain Shaw did not look at the attorney. Her eyes stayed on Hayes. "Did you hear the dispatch update?" Hayes's throat moved. "I heard radio traffic. Did you understand that the plate was not a confirmed match?" He stared at the table. "I understood. It was not confirmed. Yet you continued to treat Mrs. William as though the vehicle was confirmed suspicious." "I had officer safety concerns." Captain Shaw pressed play again. On the screen, Janasa. Maya said, "My name is Maya William. I am 7 months pregnant. I have done nothing wrong. I am asking for help." The room was still. Randall stopped the video this time. What officer safety concern did that sentence create? Hayes said nothing. Marcus's hands tightened on his knees, but he kept his mouth shut. Cole looked like he might be sick. Captain Shaw turned to him. "Officer Cole, you stated earlier that you believed the stop should have slowed down. When?" Cole glanced once at Hayes, then away. "When she asked to sit." Maybe before that, when she asked to get her ID and he told her not to reach. Hayes turned sharply. Brent. Cole flinched but kept going. She was trying to follow instructions that kept changing. I knew it. I didn't say it loud enough. His voice cracked on the last sentence. Hayes's attorney started to object, but Randall raised a hand. Let him speak. Cole looked at Captain Shaw. I opened the back door because Hayes gave me a look. He didn't say, search the vehicle, but I knew what he wanted. I told myself it was for safety. It wasn't. It was because we had already decided something was wrong, and we were trying to find it. Marcus finally looked at him. Cole's eyes filled. I'm not asking that to help me. I know it doesn't, but that's the truth. The word truth stayed in the room after he finished. Hayes leaned forward, face flushed now. You're saying that because you're scared. Cole turned to him. Yes, I am scared, but I was scared yesterday too, and I let that make me quiet. Chief Randall's face hardened with the kind of disappointment that comes from hearing something you already knew but hoped was not true. Officer Hayes, did you ever consider that Mrs. William was afraid because of your actions? Hayes looked toward Marcus before answering. That was a mistake. Marcus stood. Randall said, Commander. Marcus did not move toward Hayes. He did not raise his voice. He simply stood there, tall and controlled, and the room changed around him. Don't look at me for the answer, Marcus said. Look at the screen. Hayes's eyes shifted back to the frozen image of Maya's face. Marcus continued. That woman was not afraid because she knew who I was. She was afraid because she knew who you were in that moment. You had the gun. You had the badge. You had the power to decide whether her fear was human or suspicious. Hayes's attorney said, Commander, with respect. No, Marcus said. Respect is exactly what was missing. Randall stepped in before the room could break open. Marcus. Marcus stopped, breathed once, and sat down again. Captain Shaw closed her folder. We will continue formal interviews tomorrow. For tonight, the preliminary recommendation stands. Both officers remain on administrative leave. Officer Hayes, the matter is being referred for potential termination review and possible civil rights inquiry. Officer Cole, your failure to intervene will be reviewed separately, along with your supplemental cooperation. Hayes looked stunned. Termination? For a traffic stop? Randall's voice was low. For what you turned one into. Across town, Maya sat in her hospital bed with her mother, on video call, and Nurse Angela adjusting the monitor. Denise William had finally accepted that she would not be allowed to storm the hospital hallway, but she had not accepted peace. I want to see Marcus, Denise said through the phone. He's at headquarters, Maya replied. Why? Because there's a meeting. There is always a meeting when people want to take the long road to what they already know. Maya smiled faintly. Mama, I'm serious. They studied that video like it was the book of Revelation, but I saw what happened in 10 seconds. Angela laughed softly from the foot of the bed. Mrs. Denise, I believe you and I would get along. Denise pointed through the screen. Then you make sure my daughter eats. She ate soup, Angela said. Was it real soup or hospital soup? Maya closed her eyes. Good night, Mama. You're not getting rid of me that easy. Before Maya could answer, the baby kicked hard enough to shift the blanket. She gasped and pressed her palm to her belly. Denise's voice changed immediately. What? What happened? He kicked, Maya said, laughing through sudden tears. Hard. Angela checked the monitor and smiled. Strong boy. Maya looked down at her stomach. He's got opinions. Good, Denise said. Let him come into this world with some. Later, when Marcus returned, the hospital room was dim. Maya was awake, waiting. He paused in the doorway. You should be sleeping. You should stop saying things you know won't happen. He came to her side and kissed her forehead. She studied his face. How bad was it? Marcus pulled the chair close. Bad enough that they can't bury it. Is that the same as justice? No, he said. But it's the road toward it. Maya took that in. Did Hayes apologize? No. Good. Marcus looked surprised. She touched the yellow blanket beside her. I don't want another apology built for cameras. I want him to understand what he did, when there's nothing left to save. Marcus nodded slowly. Cole talked. Did he tell the truth? Some of it. Maybe all he's brave enough for tonight. Maya looked toward the dark window. That may be how it starts for people like him. What? Courage. Late. Messy. Not enough. But real enough to grow if he doesn't run from it. Marcus reached for her hand. You have more grace than I do. No, Maya said softly. I just know our son is listening. I don't want the first story he hears about justice to be only about punishment. Marcus held her hand with both of his. Outside, the county argued. The cameras waited. And men who had once controlled the roadside were beginning to lose control of the story. Inside the hospital room, Maya listened to her baby's heartbeat and understood that justice was not a single dramatic arrival. Sometimes, it was a slow door opening, one truthful sentence at a time. Morning came with a pale, patient light that slipped through the blinds and touched the edge of Maya's hospital bed before she was ready for the day. She had slept longer than she expected, not deeply, but enough for her body to stop trembling every time footsteps passed outside the door. The yellow blanket lay folded beside her hip. The ultrasound photo sat on the rolling table next to a half-empty cup of water, Evelyn Parker's note, and a plate of toast Marcus had convinced her to eat before dawn. The fetal monitor was still steady. That sound had become the center of the room. Not the news outside, not the investigation, not the angry voices gathering across the county, just the small, fast heartbeat of a child who had already been part of a story he would one day have to understand. Dr. Porter came in just after 7 with a chart in her hand and reading glasses low on her nose. Well, she said, looking at the monitor. Somebody in here decided to behave overnight. Maya touched her belly. I'd like to take credit for that. You can take some. The baby gets the rest. Dr. Porter checked the chart, then looked at Marcus, who had stood up the second she entered. Commander, sit before I admit you too. Maya smiled. I told him the chair works better when he uses it. Marcus lowered himself into the chair, though his eyes stayed on the doctor. How is she? Better. Blood pressure is down. Baby's tracing looks reassuring. I still want a few more hours of monitoring. But if things stay calm, I'm comfortable sending her home this afternoon with strict instructions. Strict, Maya repeated. Dr. Porter gave her a look. Yes, that means rest. No interviews from your porch. No dramatic press conferences. No standing in front of microphones because people decide your pain belongs to them now. Maya's smile faded a little. I wasn't planning on that. Good. Plan on water, food, sleep, and letting people help you even when it annoys you. Marcus nodded too quickly. I can enforce that. Maya turned her head. Do not enjoy this. I'm not. You absolutely are. Dr. Porter closed the chart. I'll come back before discharge. And Maya? Yes? The doctor's expression softened. What happened to you was not just stressful. It was traumatic. Don't let anyone make you feel foolish if your body remembers it after your mind wants to move on. Maya swallowed. Thank you. When the doctor left, the room stayed quiet for a while. Marcus poured water into a cup and held it out. Maya took it, watching him over the rim. What? He asked. You heard her. People helping me, even when it annoys me. I heard the doctor say I was right. She did not say that. She implied it. Maya shook her head, but the warmth between them felt good. It felt ordinary, and ordinary had become precious. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and the softness left his face. Chief Randall? Maya asked. He nodded. And, Captain Shaw, answer it. He put the call on speaker only after Maya nodded again. Commander, Randall said. His voice sounded rough, like he had not slept either. Mrs. William, I'm glad you're both on the line. Maya sat a little straighter. What happened? Captain Shaw answered. Officer Hayes completed his preliminary interview this morning. He continues to claim the stop was based on officer safety and confusion over the vehicle match. However, dispatch logs and his body camera contradict key parts of his statement. Marcus's hand tightened around the phone. How? He stated he did not receive the plate mismatch until after Mrs. William exited the vehicle. That is false. He received it before he ordered her out. Maya closed her eyes. Randall added. He also wrote in his initial incident summary, that Mrs. William refused to identify herself. The video shows she asked repeatedly to retrieve her ID and registration and was denied permission. Maya laughed once, quietly, bitterly. So, he wrote down the part where I didn't give it, but left out the part where he wouldn't let me. No one corrected her. Captain Shaw said, "Yes, ma'am." Marcus stood and walked to the window. He looked down at the hospital entrance, where media vans still waited beyond the security line. "What about Cole?" "Cole's supplemental statement is consistent with the video," Shaw said. "He admits he failed to intervene. He also confirms Hayes heard the dispatch update." Maya opened her eyes. "Why did he wait?" Captain Shaw's voice softened just a little. "He says he was afraid of contradicting a senior officer in public." Maya stared at the yellow blanket. "I was afraid too," Randall said. "Mrs. William, based on what we have, I'm recommending immediate termination proceedings for Officer Hayes and a separate disciplinary review for Officer Cole, including failure to intervene and improper search conduct. The district attorney has requested the file." Marcus turned back from the window. "The DA, yes. We don't know where that leads yet, but they want to review possible charges related to official misconduct and false reporting." Maya did not feel triumph. That surprised her. She had imagined that hearing those words would bring relief, maybe even satisfaction. Instead, she felt tired, heavy, as if the truth had taken another step forward. But she still had to carry the memory of every minute before it arrived. "Mrs. William," Captain Shaw said, "we'll need your formal statement when your doctor clears it. Not today, unless you request otherwise." "Not today," Marcus said. Maya looked at him. He stopped himself. "Sorry." She almost smiled at that. "Not today," she said, "but soon." After the call ended, Marcus set the phone down like it weighed more than it should. "You okay?" he asked. Maya looked at him. "I don't know what okay means right now." "That's fair. I thought I'd feel better when someone official finally said they were wrong. And I feel like asking why it took all this." She touched her belly. "Why did it take a video, and you and Chief Randall, and a state captain, and a hospital room for the truth to count?" Marcus came back to her bedside. "Because the system is better at defending itself than correcting itself." She looked at him carefully. "That's a dangerous thing for a commander to say. It's a necessary thing for a commander to know." A knock came before she could answer. Nurse Angela opened the door partway. "There's someone asking to leave another note." Jordan Ellis, the delivery driver. Marcus looked at Maya. "You don't have to. I want to see him." Angela studied her face. "Just a minute, and I'll stay close." Jordan came in holding a baseball cap in both hands. He looked younger without the roadside chaos around him. His eyes went first to Maya, then to Marcus, then back to Maya, as if he was not sure where respect belonged most. "Mrs. William," he said, "I don't want to bother you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry it took me so long to speak up." Maya's voice was gentle. "You spoke. Not enough. You kept recording when he threatened you." Jordan looked down. "My hands were shaking. Mine, too." That made him look up. Maya continued. "Courage doesn't always feel like courage when you're doing it." Jordan's eyes filled. "My grandma saw the video," she said. "Boy, next time don't just film. Use your voice sooner." Maya nodded slowly. "Your grandma sounds wise." "She is." He looked at Marcus. "Commander, I gave Captain Shaw the original file. Nobody edited it. It's all there." Marcus held out his hand. "Thank you." Jordan shook it, then turned back to Maya. "I'm glad the baby's okay." Maya placed a hand over her stomach. "Me too." After Jordan left, Maya leaned back against the pillow, exhausted again but calmer. Marcus pulled the blanket up over her legs. "You still want to go home today?" "Yes," she said. Then, after a pause, "But not because I want to hide. I know. I want to go home because that's where the story was supposed to go before they interrupted it." Marcus looked at the ultrasound photo, then at the morning light, then at his wife. "Then I'll take you home," he said. And for the first time since the sirens appeared behind her, Maya imagined the road not as a place where fear began, but as something she might one day travel again, without holding her breath. By late afternoon, Dr. Porter came back with discharge papers in one hand and the kind of look that made even Marcus stand a little straighter. "I'm letting you go home," she said, but I want the word letting understood as a medical courtesy, not permission to pretend nothing happened. Maya sat on the edge of the bed in the loose dress Marcus had brought from home. Her hair was pulled back, her face still tired, but there was color in her cheeks again. The yellow blanket rested in her lap, folded carefully this time. "I understand," Maya said. Dr. Porter lifted one eyebrow. "Do you?" Marcus answered too quickly. "She does." Both women looked at him. He raised his hands. "I'm just here to carry bags." "That's your safest role," Dr. Porter said. For the first time all day, Maya laughed without effort. The doctor went over the instructions slowly. Rest for several days, drink water, monitor blood pressure, return immediately if pain increased, if there was bleeding, if the baby moved less, if headaches or vision changes appeared. Maya listened, nodding, but Marcus listened as if he were receiving operational orders before a rescue mission. Dr. Porter noticed. "Commander, I'm going to say this plainly. Watching her like she's made of glass will stress her out too." Maya pointed at him. "Please write that down." "I don't need it written," Marcus said. "You need it tattooed." Dr. Porter handed Maya the papers. "You are strong, but strong women still need recovery. And you are loved, but loved women still need space to breathe. Both things can be true." Maya held the papers against her chest for a moment. "Thank you. No thanks needed. Just don't come back here because you decided to be brave for people who only want a statement." After the doctor left, Marcus helped Maya stand. He moved slowly, letting her set the pace. That alone nearly made her cry. On Route 16, every second of slowness had been treated like resistance. Here, slowness was care. He picked up her purse, the clinic folder, the ultrasound photo, and the yellow blanket. Maya reached for the blanket first. "I can carry that," she said. Marcus handed it to her without argument. A nurse brought a wheelchair, and Maya almost refused. But one look from Angela stopped her. "Don't start," Angela said. "I didn't say anything. You were thinking loudly." Maya sat. As Marcus pushed her toward the elevator, the hallway seemed both ordinary and strange. A man in a cardigan walked beside an IV pole. A little girl with a cast on her arm held a purple balloon. Two older women whispered near the vending machine, then stopped when they recognized Maya. One of them placed a hand over her heart. "God bless you, baby," she said softly. Maya nodded. "Thank you." The elevator doors closed. Marcus stood behind the wheelchair, his hands on the grips. In the mirrored wall, Maya could see his face above hers. He looked exhausted, older than he had yesterday morning. She wondered if she looked older too. "When we get downstairs," he said, "there may be cameras. I know. Hospital security is taking us through the side entrance." Maya looked at his reflection. "Are we hiding?" "No. We're protecting your peace." She thought about that. "There's a difference." "There is." The elevator descended in silence for a few seconds. Then Maya said, "If someone asks me a question, I may answer one." Marcus's hands tightened slightly on the wheelchair. "Maya, one," she said. "Not a speech, not an interview, but I won't have people thinking I'm being carried out because I'm ashamed." His face softened in the mirror. "You have nothing to be ashamed of." "I know. That's why I might answer." The side entrance was quieter than the main lobby, but not empty. Security officers stood near the doors. Beyond the glass, a few reporters waited behind a marked line in the parking area. News vans sat under the lowering sun. Across the driveway, separated from the press, a small group of people held candles even though it was not dark yet. Some were older black women in church hats and cardigans. Some were white-haired men with veterans' caps. A few nurses stood on break, arms folded, watching over the scene like family. Maya saw a handmade sign in the crowd. A mother should not have to beg for gentleness. Her throat tightened. Marcus leaned down. "We can go straight to the car." Maya shook her head. "Stop for a second." He stopped just outside the doors. The evening air touched her face, warm and soft after the cold hospital room. Cameras turned immediately. Reporters called her name, but security kept them back. "Mrs. William, do you have a statement?" "Mrs. William, Do you believe the officers should be charged? Do you forgive them? That last question made Maya look up. The reporter who asked it was young, maybe too young to understand the weight of forgiveness when asked from a safe distance. Maya did not stand. She did not raise her voice. She simply held the yellow blanket in both hands and looked toward the cameras. Forgiveness is not the first thing you ask from someone who was harmed, she said. The first thing you ask for is the truth, then accountability, then change. Forgiveness can't be used to hurry past any of that. The questions stopped. Marcus stood behind her, silent. Maya continued, not because she had planned to, but because the words were already there. Yesterday, I was not asking for special treatment. I was asking to sit down. I was asking them to check my ID. I was asking them to see that I was pregnant and afraid. Those should not be difficult requests in this country. A woman in the candle group began to cry. Maya's voice softened. I am going home now because my baby is okay, and because I need rest. But please, don't make this story only about who my husband is. Make it about what happened before he arrived. She looked up at Marcus then. I'm ready. He pushed the wheelchair toward the black SUV waiting near the curb. This one was not the tactical vehicle from Route 16. Marcus had borrowed an unmarked department SUV, plain enough not to draw more attention than the moment already had. At the passenger door, he crouched in front of her. You okay? No, she said honestly. But I'm going home. He helped her into the seat with careful hands. The yellow blanket stayed in her lap. The ultrasound photo was tucked safely inside her purse. As Marcus walked around to the driver's side, Maya looked once more at the people gathered near the hospital entrance. Evelyn Parker stood near the back, hands clasped in front of her. Jordan Ellis was beside her, baseball cap in his hands. Neither called out. Neither tried to make the moment theirs. They simply stood there. Maya lifted one hand. Evelyn pressed both hands to her mouth. Jordan nodded once. Marcus got behind the wheel and closed the door. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The engine started. The hospital, the cameras, the candles, and the waiting questions all remained behind the windshield. Then Marcus reached across the console and took her hand. No sirens, Maya said quietly. He looked at her. Please, I don't want to hear sirens today. Marcus nodded. No sirens. They pulled away slowly, turning out of the hospital parking lot into the same American evening that had gone on without asking permission. Porch lights, glowing, traffic signals changing, families driving home with groceries in the back seat. Maya looked down at the yellow blanket and rested her hand over the place where her son had just moved. The road ahead was ordinary. For now, that was enough. Marcus drove without sirens, without lights, without the sharp turns he would have taken in uniform. He drove like a husband bringing his pregnant wife home from the hospital, slow through yellow lights, careful over uneven pavement, one hand on the wheel and the other near Maya's whenever the road allowed it. Maya watched the streets pass in silence. Route 16 was only a few blocks away from the hospital, but Marcus did not take it. He chose the longer way through the older neighborhoods, past brick ranch houses, trimmed lawns, porch swings, and mailboxes shaped like little barns. The late sun sat low behind the trees. In some windows, televisions flickered. In one yard, a grandfather helped a boy wheel a bicycle up the driveway. In another, a woman watered hanging baskets with one hand while holding a phone in the other. Maya wondered how many of them had seen the video. She wondered how many had paused it, judged it, shared it, argued about it over dinner. She wondered how many had heard her voice crack and still found a way to make the fear her fault. Marcus glanced at her. You're quiet. I'm tired. I know. No, Marcus. Not hospital tired. Not pregnancy tired. She looked down at the yellow blanket in her lap. I'm tired in places I can't point to. He nodded slowly. Then we'll be quiet when we get home. She looked out the window again. Will there be people outside? Harris said he checked twice. No press on our street. Chief Randall sent a patrol car to keep the block clear, but I told them to stay down the road. I don't want a cruiser sitting in front of the house. Thank you. I figured you'd had enough police cars for a while. The words were gentle, but they still brought the image back. The angled cruiser, haze at the window, Cole's fingers around her arm, strangers holding phones as if recording were the same as rescuing. Maya closed her eyes and pressed her palm to her belly. The baby moved under her hand, a slow answer from the one person who had been with her through all of it. "I'm sorry," Marcus said. Her eyes opened. "For what?" "For the world. For my department. For every time I told myself the good ones could fix the bad ones just by being good." Maya turned toward him. "You still believe in the work?" "I have to." "No, you choose to." He drove another block before answering. "Yes, I choose to. But I think yesterday changed what that means." Their house came into view at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. A small American flag hung from the porch. The living room lamp glowed behind the curtains. Someone had placed a covered dish on the porch steps, and beside it sat a grocery bag, with orange juice, crackers, soup, and a note taped to the top. Marcus parked in the driveway and shut off the engine. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Maya stared at the front door. "I left here yesterday thinking I'd be back before dinner." "I know. I was going to show you the ultrasound photo in the kitchen." "You still can." She smiled faintly. "It won't be the same." "No," he said. "But it will still be ours." He came around and helped her out of the SUV. She let him. That was new too. Not because she had become weak, but because she no longer felt the need to prove strength to someone who already knew she had it. The evening air smelled like cut grass and somebody's barbecue grill. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked once and went quiet. Marcus picked up the dish from the porch. "Mrs. Alvarez." Maya looked at the handwriting on the note. She made chicken and rice. She always does when something happens. That's how she prays. Inside, the house felt too peaceful for what they were carrying into it. The shoes Marcus had kicked off the night before were still near the hallway. A folded laundry basket sat on the couch. On the dining table lay the crib instructions, a screwdriver, and 3 small screws that did not look like they belonged to anything. Maya stopped in the doorway of the nursery. The room was unfinished, but close. The white crib leaned slightly, just as she had teased Marcus. The rocking chair sat by the window. A little shelf held children's books Marcus had bought too early. Goodnight Moon, The Snowy Day, Corduroy, and a worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are, from his own childhood. On the wall, pale blue painter's tape marked where they planned to hang framed prints of stars. Maya stepped inside slowly. Marcus set her bag down and stood behind her. "You okay?" She nodded, but tears came anyway. This was where my mind kept going. When I was standing there, I kept thinking, just get home. Just get back to this room. Marcus placed the yellow blanket over the rocking chair. "You're here." Maya touched the edge of the blanket. So is he. Marcus knelt in front of her and rested both hands gently on her belly. "Hey, little man," he whispered. "We're home." The baby kicked once, firm and perfectly timed. Maya laughed through her tears. "He knows your voice. He knows I'm the one who talks too much at night." "You do." "I'm educating him." "You read the car seat manual out loud, Marcus." That was important literature. For the first time since the road, the laughter stayed for more than a second. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He did not move to answer it. Maya noticed. "Who is it?" "Randall." "Take it. We just got home." And the truth didn't stop at the door. He looked at her for a long moment, then answered, "William." Chief Randall's voice sounded heavier than before. "I'll keep it brief. Hayes has been formally suspended without field authority pending termination review. The DA is opening an inquiry. Cole has been suspended pending discipline and required cooperation. Captain Shaw wants to interview Mrs. William when she's medically cleared." Marcus looked at Maya. She nodded. "She'll do it when she's ready," Marcus said. Randall paused. "There's more." Hayes issued another statement through his attorney. He says public pressure is making a fair review impossible. Maya looked at the crib, then at the blanket, then held out her hand for the phone. Marcus hesitated, then passed it to her. "Chief Randall," Maya said. "Mrs. William, I don't want a rushed review. I want a fair one. But tell Officer Hayes something for me if you can." Randall's voice softened. "What's that?" "Fair is what I asked for on the roadside before anybody knew my husband's name." Silence answered her first. Then Randall said, "I'll remember that." Maya handed the phone back. Marcus ended the call and stood quietly in the nursery, looking at his wife as if she had just become even taller in his eyes. "What?" she asked. He shook his head. "Nothing. That face is not nothing. I was just thinking our son is going to have a very hard time winning arguments with you." Maya sat carefully in the rocking chair. "Good. He should learn early." Marcus knelt again, this time to remove her shoes. It was such a small act, so ordinary, that it nearly undid her more than the hospital had. He set the shoes by the chair, then looked up at her. "Maya," he said, "I couldn't stop what happened before I got there." "No, but I can help with what happens next." She reached down and touched his cheek. "Then, help me make sure next time somebody doesn't have to wait for a Marcus." He covered her hand with his. "I promise." Outside, the streetlights came on one by one. Somewhere beyond the quiet cul-de-sac, reporters were still talking. Officers were writing reports. Lawyers were shaping excuses. And strangers were arguing over the meaning of a video. But inside the nursery, beside a crooked crib and a yellow blanket stitched with prayers, Maya William closed her eyes and rocked slowly. Not because the world was safe, but because for this one moment, her child was. The first night home was quieter than Maya expected. But quiet did not mean peaceful. Every ordinary sound seemed to arrive with a second meaning. A car passing too slowly outside made her shoulders tense. The beep of the microwave pulled her back to the hospital monitor. When Marcus set a glass on the kitchen counter a little too hard, she flinched before she could stop herself. He saw it and froze. "I'm sorry," he said. Maya closed her eyes, embarrassed by her own body. "You didn't do anything. I still scared you." "No," she said, opening her eyes. "Yesterday scared me. You're just standing close to where it left the bruise." Marcus did not try to fix that sentence. He only nodded, lowered his hand from the cabinet, and moved more softly after that. Mrs. Alvarez's chicken and rice sat warm on the stove. Maya managed a few bites because Marcus watched her with the worried patience of a man who had been instructed by a doctor and an angry mother-in-law in the same 24 hours. After dinner, he helped her to the couch, tucked a pillow behind her back, and brought the yellow blanket from the nursery without being asked. Maya rubbed the fabric between her fingers. It smelled faintly of hospital soap now, but underneath that, she could still imagine her mother's house in Birmingham. Lavender detergent, lemon furniture polish, Sunday greens simmering too long on the stove. Marcus sat beside her but left space. "Your mama texted. She's driving in tomorrow morning with Aunt Ruth." Maya sighed. "Of course she is. She said not to argue because she already packed." "That sounds like Mama." "She also said if I let you answer one reporter question tomorrow, she'll have words with me." Maya raised an eyebrow. "With you? I believe I'm easier to blame." "You are." For a moment, they smiled. Then Marcus's phone lit up on the coffee table. He looked at it and did not reach for it. Maya did. "It's Captain Shaw." Marcus watched her carefully. "You don't have to take it tonight." "I know," she answered. "This is Maya." Captain Shaw's voice came through calm and direct. "Mrs. William, I'm sorry to disturb you at home. I wanted to let you know we've scheduled formal interviews for Hayes and Cole tomorrow morning. Your statement can wait, but I also wanted to ask whether you would be comfortable preserving the yellow blanket and hospital bag as part of the evidence record." Maya looked down at the blanket in her lap. Marcus sat straighter. "The blanket?" Maya lifted one hand slightly, telling him she had it. Captain Shaw continued, "Not because the blanket itself proves misconduct, but because Officer Cole's handling of the bag is part of the sequence. It helps show what they treated as suspicious." Maya's fingers tightened on the fabric. "My mother made this. I understand." "No," Maya said softly. "You understand it as evidence. I understand it as the first thing my son was supposed to be wrapped in." There was a pause on the line. Then Shaw said, "You're right. I'm sorry. I don't want to take it from you. Photographs may be enough if you agree." Maya looked at Marcus. He nodded once, leaving the choice to her. "Photographs," Maya said. "I want it documented, but I want it here. That's reasonable. I'll send someone tomorrow, only if you approve the time." After the call ended, Maya held the phone a moment longer. Marcus said, "You okay?" I hate that pieces of my baby's life have to become evidence. I know. The blanket, the ultrasound, my hospital bag, my voice shaking on video. Everything soft has to be made hard enough for people to believe it. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Then maybe we make them look at the soft things longer. Maya studied him. What does that mean? It means policy can't just be about weapons and threats. It has to be about recognizing vulnerability before force turns it into danger. Maya leaned back against the pillow. That sounds like something a commander says before he writes a memo. It might become more than a memo. The next morning, Denise William arrived before 9, with Aunt Ruth in the passenger seat and enough food in the back of her car to feed a church basement after a funeral. Marcus opened the door, and Denise walked past him with a casserole dish in one hand and a look that warned him not to speak too soon. "Where is my baby?" she demanded. "In the living room, ma'am." "Is she resting?" "Yes, ma'am." "Is she pretending she doesn't need anything?" "Yes, ma'am." Denise stopped and looked at him. "At least you're learning." Maya heard the voices and smiled before her mother even entered the room. Denise set the casserole down, crossed to the couch, and gathered Maya carefully into her arms. She did not squeeze too hard. She did not cry loudly. She held her daughter the way older women hold pain when they have carried too much of their own. "My child," she whispered. "My sweet child." Maya's face crumpled. "Mama, I was so scared." "I know." Denise stroked her hair. "And you told the truth anyway." Aunt Ruth stood behind them, wiping her eyes with a tissue. "I brought peach cobbler. Don't nobody tell me pregnant women can't have dessert before lunch," Marcus said. "I would never." Aunt Ruth looked him up and down. Smart man. For an hour, the house filled with the sounds Maya had needed. Women moving in the kitchen, cabinets opening, low prayers spoken over food, her mother fussing over water intake, Aunt Ruth insulting the crooked crib with professional confidence. It did not erase Route 16, but it reminded Maya that the world was not only made of men with badges and cameras. Near midday, Marcus's phone rang again. This time it was Chief Randall asking if he could stop by with Captain Shaw. Maya agreed, but only if they came without uniforms and without reporters. They arrived in plain clothes. Randall looked uncomfortable on the Williams' front porch, as if stepping into Maya's home made the matter harder to reduce to procedure. Captain Shaw carried a folder and nothing else. Denise stayed in the living room. Aunt Ruth stayed too, pretending to arrange napkins while clearly listening to every word. Randall began. "Mrs. William, I won't take much of your time. Officer Hayes has been placed on unpaid suspension pending termination proceedings. The DA's office is reviewing whether his incident summary constitutes a false official statement. Officer Cole remains suspended and has agreed to cooperate fully." Maya absorbed the words slowly. "And after that?" Randall looked at Marcus, then back at her. "Commander William has requested an emergency policy review." Maya turned to her husband. Marcus said, "I didn't want to bring it to you until it was more than talk." "What kind of review?" He took a folded page from his pocket. "Pregnancy and medical vulnerability protocols during traffic stops. Mandatory plate confirmation before escalation when the stop is based on a vehicle match. Duty to intervene when a senior officer ignores contradictory information. Clear limits on searches during minor or uncertain stops." Aunt Ruth muttered from the kitchen doorway. "Now that sounds like English wearing a necktie." Maya almost laughed. Captain Shaw smiled faintly, then said, "In plain terms, Mrs. William, they would have to check the facts before acting on fear. And if someone is visibly medically vulnerable, the stop slows down. It does not speed up." Maya looked at the yellow blanket lying beside her on the couch. "Name it something that doesn't make it about me." Marcus frowned gently. "Maya, no, I mean it. I don't want officers saying, 'Remember what happened to the commander's wife.' I want them thinking about every woman they stop who doesn't have you." Randall nodded. "Then what should it be called?" Maya placed one hand on her belly. The baby moved, slow and certain. "The safe stop standard," she said, "because that's all I wanted. A safe stop." The room went still. Marcus looked at her with quiet pride. Denise reached over and took her daughter's hand. Captain Shaw wrote it down. That evening, after Randall and Shaw left, Marcus found Maya in the nursery. She was sitting in the rocking chair, looking at the crib he had finally promised to rebuild correctly. "You changed the whole room today," he said. "No," Maya answered. "I just named what was missing." He knelt beside her. "A safe stop." She nodded. For the next woman, outside, the neighborhood settled into dusk. Inside, the yellow blanket weighted over the back of the rocking chair. No longer just evidence, no longer only a wound. It was becoming something else now. Something Maya could almost bear to look at without pain. A reminder that softness could survive being mishandled and still be strong enough to change the hands that came after. The lesson of Maya's story is that justice should never depend on who someone knows, who they are married to, or whether a powerful person arrives in time. A frightened mother, a tired old man, a young driver, or anyone standing alone on the side of the road deserves to be seen first as a human being. The badge should protect the vulnerable, not make them beg for dignity. And when something wrong happens in front of us, silence is not neutral. Sometimes, the first step toward justice is one ordinary person choosing to speak, record the truth, and refuse to look away. Thank you for staying with this story until the very end. If it touched your heart, I would truly love to hear your thoughts on the storytelling, the emotional pacing, or whatever stayed with you after listening. Every comment or you share helps make the next stories more honest, moving, and meaningful. And if you have a powerful or meaningful story of your own, please do not hesitate to send it to the channel. It may become the next story to touch and inspire thousands of others. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.